I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I want to talk about the sign Gemini, and for those of you that have Gemini as your ascendant. Well, Gemini is an air sign, so Geminis are extremely communicative. It's relative to the third house being the third sign, so it's all about communication skills. It's what we call a mutable sign, which means changeable or adaptable. So it's an adaptable air sign that can sometimes talk a little too much because conversation is important to them, but relating and connecting to people on all levels, but mainly through their speech. Now with Gemini, Mercury rules the ascendant, and Mercury also rules the fourth house. So you'll find people with Gemini ascendant to be extremely close to their family, close to their mother, and a connection to the past and their home. This is where they find their most security, because the planet that rules who they are, Mercury, also rules the fourth house of home, family, security, and the mother. So many times you'll find that people with Gemini ascendant will move close to their family, close to their mother, and many times take care of the parent or the mother. The moon rules the second house, which whatever house the moon rules, will rule what fluctuates the most in life. So there can be many extremes and ups and downs financially throughout the life with the moon ruler of the second house. And the moon being the most personal planet, money issues are very close and dear to their heart. The sun rules the third house. The third house deals with our vitality and our courage. So the sun as ruler of the third gives a strong vitality, courage, strong desire, and ambitious, and can sometimes be very athletic, because the sun is the physical constitution and the third house deals with being athletic, but also creative skills with the hands, which will also lead me to Venus. Venus for Gemini ascendant rules the fifth house as well as the 12th house. And the fifth house, which deals with creativity, can also deal with all things that we create, which is our children. And the fact that it's Venus, people with Gemini ascendant can have beautiful children. But they also have an eye for beauty, creativity, and investments. Remember that Gemini is a completely mental sign, since Mercury that rules Gemini deals with the cognitive process, how we think, how we process the information. So they're constantly thinking, as well as expressing themselves in a communicative way. The fact that Venus also rules the 12th house as well as the 5th house, it can cause some problems around children. But what's so interesting about this ascendant is the planets that rule the best house also rule the worst house. But the triconal houses will generally take over in terms of rulership. So as Venus rules the fifth, one of the best houses, it also rules one of the worst houses, which is the 12th house. And so there's this dichotomy going on for this ascendant, that sometimes some of the best things are the worst things in life. Likewise, Saturn rules the 9th house, which is the best house for luck and prosperity, but it also rules the 8th house, which is the most difficult house. So you see, the planet that rules the best house also rules the worst house on both accounts, with 5 and 12 and 8 and 9. So looking at this, Saturn, in terms of its rulership of the 9th house, will bring a powerful but somehow problematic relationship with the father. Now the father, they may be very close, but the father has some maybe health issues or something to do with issues or problems with standing up for themselves. That's what I get with Saturn, ruler of the 9th as well as ruler of the 8th house. And I might say that the ability to be disciplined and focused can sometimes be, can sometimes not be so good, with the fact that Saturn, which is discipline and focus, rulership of the 9th, also rules the 8th. But it can also make for the profound and deep thinkers that Gemini ascendants are. So Mars rules the 6th and Mars rules the 11th. Mars is by far the worst malefic for Gemini ascendants, because the 6th house is a Dhisthana house. Yes, it is Upachaya, where we can make life improve and get better over time. But the fact that Mars rules the 11th, remember, the ruler of the 11th house will cause problems for a chart. So Mars is the worst. It can cause health problems. It can cause contention and fighting. But it can also bring ultimate healings, because the 11th house is the 6th from the 6th and deals with healings of the body. So Mars is all about the health of the individual that has Gemini as their ascendant. But because the 6th house can also deal with enemies, the fact that the planet that rules friends also rules enemies, sometimes their friends can turn into their enemies. So watch that. Now Jupiter, for Gemini ascendant, rules the 7th and rules the 10th at the same time. This means that for Gemini ascendants, they could work with their spouse. They could have a business together. They could even possibly work with or for the spouse, or they could meet their spouse, their partner, through their career, through their job, and then eventually work together. So Jupiter, because it does rule the 7th and the 10th, these are angles. Angles aside from the ascendant. When a benefic rules angles, excluding the ascendant, it loses its power. So Jupiter loses its power for Gemini ascendant. It's not the strongest planet, and it can actually cause some issues and problems. So this pretty much covers all of the planets. So the best planets, regardless that they rule the worst houses for Gemini ascendant, still are going to be Mercury, because it rules the ascendant, but Venus, because it rules the 5th, but it does rule the 12th, and Saturn. So it's Mercury, Venus, and Saturn that are the best planets for the diversified, creative, thinking, communicative Gemini. So this is what you have to consider: house rulers, how a planet is going to affect this individual. So the broad-minded thinkers, and remember, Geminis are all over the place. They love travel, they love learning, they love education, teaching. So all of these things are a part of what a Gemini ascendant is all about. So with that, I'd like to close. If you would like to know more information, you can always go to my website, which is galacticcenter.org, or if you want to really learn astrology, go to my university, which is University of Vedic Astrology.com. Thank you.